Our third optimization technique is RDD persistence. To show you how this works, I want to start with a piece of code that's not optimized. I'm going to walk you through this example. It looks very sensible. It's not hard to understand if you follow the material so far. And we'll take a look at the computations it's doing and try to uncover what it's doing wrong and how to fix it. Let's have a look. In the first line, we select from a table called movies getting release year and genres out of the table. Potentially a large RDD we get there. Then we filter it to movies only released in 2014, and we count the number of movies in that RDD. After that, we take the 2014 movies and we do another filter looking only for movies that are categorized as comedies, and we count that. From that, we calculate the percentage of movies in 2014 in our database which were comedies. Again, very straightforward. Moving on in the example, we do the same thing with movies released in 2013. We filter our movies RDD for release year of 2013, then we run a count action, then we filter the RDD again for only those movies which are labeled as comedies. We count that and we compute a percentage. Now this code works. It's going to run well. It's just not quite as efficient as it could be. And to illustrate why, I want to show you a diagram of the computation graph that Spark is computing. So here we see the logical Spark DAG of the code that we just created. Let's quickly walk through it. We have the Cassandra table and the select operation all the way over on the left. As we move forward, we get the movies RDD. That was that primary RDD of all those movies we created. We then filter it twice to make movies 2014, that's one RDD, and movies 2013, that's another RDD. We take those RDDs and run a count on them, and filter them and run a count on that filtered RDD. Which is good enough. We get 4 actions and 4 results. But let me break this down stage by stage so you can see the repeated work a little bit more clearly. So that DAG of operations is the ideal scenario. And in an ideal world, we could stop there, but we actually have to get these computations done on real servers, and we do that in stages. The first stage does a select on the movies table and creates the movies RDD. Then we do a filtering operation and create a new RDD that's movies 2014. We're able to count that, which gives us the first action result. And we're going to do it again. We're going to do that same select, coming up with the movies RDD again, and filtering it to 2014, then filtering it to comedies, then counting the filtered comedies to get to that count. And going on, we're going to do the same thing twice more. We'll get the movies RDD again, we'll filter it this time to 2013 and count that. Then, incredibly, a 4th time, we're going to query that same table, filter it to 2013, filter it to comedies, and do a count there. This is what's actually going on with real tasks running in real jobs in real stages in the Spark cluster. It's not quite as efficient as we'd like it to be because we're recomputing the same thing several times. And you can see on the slide, they're actually even labeled where we compute movies 4 times, movies 2014 twice, and movies 2013 twice. That's a lot of redundant work. The key takeaways here is that we're recomputing a couple of RDDs multiple times. What we need is a way to materialize those intermediate RDDs so they're available to subsequent steps in the Spark application. RDD persistence is that mechanism. This is one of the most important optimizations you can make for Spark applications that involve iterative computation. You can cache or persist any RDD in your program. By default, these will be kept in memory after they're computed for the first time, and of course they can spill over to disk if you allow that. They can then be reused by other operations that require that same data set, whether those are other transformations or other actions. The persisted RDD is there and shouldn't need to be recomputed. As in so many cases in Spark, the API really is simple. RDDs have a method called persist, which by default will persist the RDD contents to memory. There's also, purely as syntactic sugar, a method called cache, which is the same as calling persist and specifying that you want the contents persisted to memory. If you'd really like to get rid of persisted RDD contents, you can call the unpersist method. Let's take a slightly closer look at our other options besides just caching or persisting in memory. We have memory only. We have memory and disk, which will use up to available memory and then spill to disk. We have disk only. We also have memory only to and memory and disk to, which are the same as memory only and memory and disk, except that they guarantee that the data will be persisted or replicated on 2 separate nodes. There's also off heap, which will store the data off of the JVM heap. If you've got a very large data set that you'd like to be cached, bigger than you're comfortable running a production JVM heap, that off-heap setting will store it in off-heap memory. Let's take a look at our solution, just by way of the stage diagram that we saw before. Notice here when we create the movies RDD with the Cassandra table select call, we're also going to call cache, and that's going to persist it in memory. Now we have a single movies RDD, and we're not going to recompute that in subsequent stages. It's going to be available in memory for the next step. And those next steps are somewhat optimized as well. But we can still do a little better. We see that we're still recomputing movies 2014 and movies 2013 twice. So let's take it a step further. Now, by caching the results of our filtered movies, movies 2014 and movies 2013, by caching those RDDs, we're not going to recompute them. We only compute them one time, so we can count them and filter them and count the filtered RDD without duplicating any of our work. So the code is going to look like this. Let's walk through it quickly. We're going to create the Cassandra table in a very similar way, except we'll call the cache method, and that's going to persist it in memory. The next line, when we filter it to only 2014 movies, we're also going to cache that. That lets us count it and move forward to filter it to only comedies without having to recompute the 2014 movies. We then calculate the 2014 percentage. And of course, the work we do on the 2013 films is the same. We cache the output of the 2013 filter, count it, filter it, count it, calculate our percentage, and we've got a nicely optimized Spark application by paying careful attention to RDD persistence.